Welcome back to the Thursday edition of the Adam Schefter podcast as we begin to get ready for a significant slate of NFL games in Week 15. Many of these games will have huge playoff implications, and to help us look ahead to them and to break them down, we bring in my friend, the co-host of the Pat McAfee Show, Ty Schmit, the man who will lead us on the weekly six-pack.
Thank you very much, Schefty. Good to be with you as always. Man, what another great NFL slate we have this weekend. We mentioned that, I think, last week. It seems like every week going forward here, we're going to have multiple games with playoff implications. So what better time of the year to be an NFL fan than right now? But today, with topic number one, Schefty, listen, everyone knows this is an NFL podcast, and we will get into all the NFL stuff, all the good games this weekend. But everyone knows you're a Michigan man, close ties to the program. Yesterday, one of the craziest days, I would venture to guess, in not Michigan athletics history, with Sherrone getting fired, and then obviously all the fallout, rumors, all the stuff that comes with that. As of right now, can you just walk us through kind of what happened and what you know about that whole situation?
That was an incredible day, and that was tragic in so many ways. And the school, obviously, I think there had been whispers for a while about Sherrone, and I think the school had looked into it previously and found no wrongdoing. But clearly, when you look at it, when the school comes out and fires him for cause and comes out and alleges that he had an inappropriate relationship with someone on staff, clearly there had to be something or somebody that came forward with some sort of ironclad evidence that this happened. Now, I don't know whether it did or it didn't, but clearly it's up for a question, which then that calls into question Sherrone's judgment. Here's a married man. Here's a man who had his third daughter this summer. He has 3 girls. And when you are the leader of a football program and you are a husband and you are a father to 3 girls, to me, your behavior always has to be pristine. You have to set an example. Again, maybe none of this happened. But something in the eyes of the school clearly did. And it cost him his job. And his personal life and his professional life now have been upended. The legal details are, frankly, beyond my understanding, because I don't understand how he got fired and went home and went elsewhere and came into contact. Like, I really don't know what happened, but you talk about a situation where somebody's life got turned upside down in one day. Wow. And I feel bad for his wife. I feel bad for his 3 daughters. I feel bad for Sherrone, even though it seems like he certainly brought some of this on himself with the decisions he made. So it's a tough situation all the way around. Michigan now is in a situation where it's got to forge ahead, move forward. They'll hire a new football head coach. We did get up today, and the names that people were floating out there, and it's not my world ordinarily, but you heard Kalen DeBoer out there, and then you heard if Kalen DeBoer were to take that, would Lane Kiffin be interested in the Alabama job? You're hearing all the names of college football. Andrew Hawkins was saying, why not go after Kurt Cignetti, the coach at Indiana? Why not? Brian Kelly's name came up. Jed Fish's name came up. Jesse Minter's name came up. Like, there are all sorts of names being floated out there. I would just say that, Michigan is one of the great jobs, not just in college football, but all sports. There'll be a lot of people that want that job, a lot. I don't think it'll be difficult to fill. But, again, this is a school right now that has an interim president. They got to lean on the athletic director, Ward Manuel. There are regents involved. There are a lot of voices, a lot of opinions. I don't know how this is going to work out, but Michigan has another head coaching search. And boy, what a crazy situation. We've seen crazy situations in college sports. Hugh Freeze and Rick Pitino and Bobby Petrino and Rich Rodriguez. This is about as wild as any of them in my mind.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said, you think about all the people involved, and obviously your hearts go out to them. I mean, just what a terrible set of circumstances. And hopefully we get some sort of clarity in the coming days, because I think that's the big thing. Now, listen, I know everybody doesn't live on the internet and on Twitter and, all that kind of stuff, but when something like this does happen and we don't really have the full range of what's going on, or, all the information, that's when all the rumors get started, stories kind of start to get pushed in one direction, and a lot of people end up running with that kind of stuff. And it's so hard to decipher what actually happened, what's true, what isn't.
Yep.
So hopefully we get a little bit more clarity on that kind of stuff in the coming days. And like you said, in terms of Michigan football as a whole, like, they're going to be fine. Obviously you do this at this point of the I guess it's not off season. They still have a bowl game, but you're wondering, oh well, a lot of the marquee coaches are gone, but like you said, Michigan is one of the marquee jobs in all of sports. So they'll find someone who is very good to get that job, I would assume.
And to bring it back to my little area of expertise, there'll be NFL names that come up for this.
Sure.
Right? Like, I could totally see Tommy Rees, the Browns offensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley, the Packers defensive coordinator. You're a
Say that.
defensive coordinator, Ty. Sorry about that, but why would he not be a candidate for the job? Like, to me, that's a no-brainer. Jesse Minter, we brought up, the Chargers defensive coordinator. There are going to be NFL names that come up in connection to this job. It has that kind of appeal. It has that kind of storied history, and it'll be really interesting to see some of the names that are connected to this opening in the days and weeks to come.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye out for what happens at Michigan. Obviously, we're going to learn a lot more in the coming days and weeks. So crazy times, but that's the world we live in right now. Let's move on to topic number 2 of this Thursday's Six Pack Schefty. Like I mentioned at the top, we have a couple incredible Week 15 games with massive playoff implications. In your opinion, what is the game of the week?
Oh, well, we're going to go with the Bills-Patriots as the game of the week. By the way, I just got a forecast sent to me for the Chicago Bears-Cleveland Browns game. It's supposed to be minus 16 with the wind chill in Chicago on Sunday. It is going to be one of those inhumanely cold games on Sunday in Chicago. And that always is fascinating to watch, especially when you're in a cozy, temperature-controlled room and you get to watch all these people out there in the conditions. But the Patriots and the Bills, this is the Patriots' chance, I think, to I don't think they can clinch the division, but put it away officially. And I can't believe that Las Vegas has established the Buffalo Bills as favorites in this game. The game is in New England. New England has won 10 games in a row. New England is coming off a bye. And they're the underdogs, the Patriots are. That, to me, is really interesting. So Las Vegas must believe that the Bills, obviously, are the favorites to win this game, and they're going to beat the Patriots on Sunday.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I guess people maybe still don't really believe in the Patriots because that's all people want to talk about is what their schedule's been up to this point. But the proof's in the pudding. I mean, they're very much alive for the number 1 seed, and I would assume sports books are just like Josh Allen just wills that team to win every single week. We have questions about their defense. It seems like at some point in the second half, they're down like 10 or 13 points. And then out of nowhere, Josh Allen, boom, 2 rushing touchdowns and a passing touchdown, or 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. He wills that team to win. And while their defense, I don't think is elite or maybe even good by any stretch of the imagination, they have splash plays. I mean, we saw it last week, against the Bengals. You get the pick 6, and then on the next snap, you get another interception. So we'll see. But again, Drake May he's the number 2 odds, person for MVP this year. So it's not like you can even say like, oh, well, he's still a second-year quarterback. You got the defending league MVP. It is very, very interesting that Vegas has established Buffalo as the favorite in this game.
I don't know what Vegas knows what we don't, but I think that that's fascinating. By the way, I'm also looking forward to the Packers and Broncos game on Sunday. That's a great matchup, a rematch of Super Bowl 32 that I was at, and I will always think of the Packers and the Broncos in that game, and that's a game I'm looking forward to. But by the way, I'm just sitting here, and I just want to give you an idea of what my last 24 hours have been like. Just sitting here, Text from somebody in the college football universe who I haven't heard from in a little while. Kalen DeBoer would be the perfect choice. That's the text. Okay.
There you go.
Just wanted to add one more message to your phone. And these messages have been pouring in. Not to go back to topic one. We're on to topic two in the game of the week. But I just want to close out topic two with a point that topic one doesn't go away and won't go away.
Yeah, and good luck, Schefty, because as the NFL, gets more and more important throughout these weeks, like there's no way around it. You're going to be getting hammered with Michigan texts.
I cannot believe how many calls I've gotten on this since it happened. I'm just telling you, Ty, my head has been spinning. It has felt like the week or the day when the NFL regular season ends and their coach is fired and teams jockeying to hire coaches and the playoffs are getting. That's what it's been like since Michigan made the decision to fire. I'm just telling you, I can't believe how my phone is usually busy.
Sure.
Next level.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. And who would have thought that, a week ago that Alabama-Oklahoma first-round playoff game would end up being one of the more important games in, tied to Michigan football. I don't think a lot of people would have assumed that, but if the Kalen DeBoer thing is real, and that's picking up a lot of steam, that's certainly that's going to get very interesting. And back to your point about the Packers and Broncos,
yes.
Obviously very excited for that one. That's another one that I'm a little surprised at, that the Packers going on the road to Denver are installed as favorites, given how good Denver's defense is. Obviously, the Packers defense is no slouch. But to me, that's Vegas having a little bit more faith in Jordan Love than they do in Bo Nix right now.
There you go.
So a couple incredible games to watch this week on the Week 15 slate. Let's move from the best games of the weekend to maybe the best NFL story in several years in topic number 3 of this Thursday's six-pack. What are your expectations for Phillip Rivers this weekend in Seattle? Do we know, is it for sure? Because when we talked about this on Tuesday, I assumed Riley Leonard there was no question he was not going to be able to go on Sunday.
But he was full in practice on Wednesday.
Exactly. So is Phillip Rivers starting this game? What are your expectations? How do you see this whole thing shaking out?
Well, that is the question going into the weekend, whether Phillip Rivers starts on Sunday. And I think, frankly, everybody's rooting for him to start. Everybody, right? We all want to see it.
Without a doubt.
It would be exciting to see Riley Leonard, don't get me wrong, but to see a 44-year-old grandfather who's a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year have his clock reset, be pushed back for 5 years, and not be eligible for the Pro Football Hall of Fame until the year 2031 while he's trying to beat the Seahawks and lead the Colts, a team he hasn't played for since the COVID year in 2020, back into the playoff contention. You can't beat that. You just can't beat that. My guess is if he makes it through the week okay and he feels physically up to it and comfortable, he's going to start. Look, he's going to start at some point, whether that's this week or next week. Phillip Rivers' time is coming. He's going to start. So the question is it this weekend or is it next weekend? And I think as we record this on Thursday morning, I think that's kind of up to Phillip. And you know what's going to happen? I'm going to forecast it right now. Him and Shane Steichen, his good friend, his close pal. Phillip, how do you feel? Coach, I feel great, Shane. I feel great. You think you do? Oh, yeah, I think I could do this. I think, you sure? Oh, let's do this. All right, dadgummit, let's get it done. And that's it. That's how I see it going, right? I don't think Phillip Rivers passes up the opportunity to play in this game.
No, you're not getting off the couch, leaving your family, and traveling from Alabama or wherever it is he's living now to Indianapolis to sign with the Colts just to, you know what? No, I'm good. I'll stand on the sideline. I'll hold the clipboard. I'll try to help Riley Leonard through this as much as I can. Absolutely not. He signed with the intention of playing. And I think you're right too. I think it's kind of turned into a little bit of a joke, but half the people I think want to see Phillip Rivers go out there and throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and just, let's make this into a Disney movie. That would be one of the most incredible sports stories of all time. And I think half the people want to see him drop back and just get obliterated by that Seattle defense on his first snap. So it's kind of like, probably should have stayed retired. There's a reason you haven't played in 5 years.
If he can somehow do this the right way and take the Colts to the playoffs, he does become a Disney movie, a 30 for 30, whatever you want to call it. Something's coming. Because
I argued that if he takes the Colts to the playoffs, he becomes a first ballot Hall of Famer.
well, to me, well, I don't know if he's a first ballot, but he's a Hall of Famer in my mind. By the way, I'm sitting here right now. Please remember Jed Fish, the Michigan job.
Yep.
So we're 3 topics in, or once we got past the first topic of Michigan, we're 1 suggestion on topic 2, we're 1 suggestion on topic 3. Let's see if we can get 5 people texting in 5 Michigan suggestions on the remaining topics in this week's Six Pack.
Yep, and now's the time to do it. I'm guessing that we will go 5 for 5 on that. And just to put a button on the Phil Rivers situation, boy, if you would have told me, well, it wouldn't have mattered. But the fact that Phil Rivers is going to end up potentially being very crucial to the Packers potentially getting the number 1 seed in the NFC, just a wild situation to be in. So I know I live in Indianapolis, but I am as big of a Colts fan and as big of a Phillip Rivers fan this weekend as anyone else in the world right now.
Dadgummit, we're all rooting for Phillip Rivers this weekend.
Bingo. Well said. All right, Schefty, let's move on to topic number 4 of this Thursday's Six Pack. What did you make of Joe Burrow's comments yesterday? Honestly, anytime we remember everything that happened with Andrew Luck, and I'm not saying it's the same thing, but anytime you get a quarterback who has had the injury history he's had, who takes hits like he has, and he starts talking about, hey, if I'm not having fun doing this anymore, like what's the point of doing this? We know he's an ultra competitive person. He wants to win. He wants to play. But what did you take from those comments?
In a crazy week where Phillip Rivers came out of retirement and Sherrone Moore got fired, I thought the most intriguing comments I heard from anybody were Joe Burrow on Wednesday in Cincinnati talking about the fun he's having or not having and his future there, basically. I could tell you this. Other teams in the league took notice of that. I could tell you that for a fact. I know that because I was texting with some of them. And I can also tell you that Andrew Luck, when he retired, had played 86 NFL games and been sacked 174 times. 86 games, 174 sacks. Joe Burrow has played 13 fewer games, 73, and been sacked 203 times. So he's played 13 fewer games and been sacked 29 more times than Andrew Luck was. And he sounded like a guy on Wednesday who was deeply reflective, contemplative, and thoughtful about how he wanted his future to proceed. Joe Burrow is the one who controls his future. If he wants to keep playing in Cincinnati, he'll keep playing in Cincinnati. If he feels like he wants to retire, he'll retire. If he feels like he wants to move on and be traded, he can somehow hold the Bengals hostage and make sure that happens. The future is his. But those were alarming words. That got the attention of a lot of people. I can tell you that right now. And that'll be something to pay attention. Now, maybe it's just the end of the season, but in many ways, the organization has failed him. Defense has not held up its end of the bargain. The offensive line has not protected him. And yes, he wanted the wide receivers. You had to pay the wide receivers, and therefore you can't pay every. But you know what? The 49ers paid Brock Purdy. They paid Christian McCaffrey. They're building up a team, right?
Yeah. Well, and what I would say to that, too, because a lot of people will come out and make that point. It's like, well, Joe, like this is what happens when you pound the table for 2 of your receivers to, be making $40 million a piece or whatever, T. Higgins is making. But he's the quarterback of the team. What's he supposed to say? Yeah, T. Higgins isn't that good. I want him out of here. We'll sign Jamar, but let's do something else. Like he's obviously going to go to bat for those guys. And ultimately, it's not his job to build the offensive line. It's not his job to make sure the defense is good. But like you said, I think it all comes back to it doesn't matter how tough you are. It doesn't matter how much of a competitor you are. It doesn't matter how much talent you have. If you take hits week in and week out like he has for his entire career, the human body and the human mind, it just can't sustain that. It just over a period of time, you start to kind of think, and then on top of it, they're 4-9 this year or whatever. So it's one thing if you're getting blasted and taking all those hits and you're, 11-2 and you're in first place in the AFC North. But now it's like, well, we're not even going to be 500. And I'm giving everything I got every single week and nothing seems to change.
He said, in his words, there are a lot of things going on right now. That's what he said. Now, I don't know if he's referring to his personal life or just football in general, but a lot of things going on. If I were his employer and I was somebody that wanted to keep him in the order, that would have my attention. And I would make sure that I'm getting with Joe Burrow to make sure that while there are a lot of things going on, we've got a lot of solutions to try to help you through this.
And what would you venture to guess that, let's say, he makes it apparent that he doesn't want to leave Cincinnati? What, 20?
Doesn't want to leave, wants to stay?
No, wants to leave. I would say, 27, 28 teams would be willing to trade, 3 first-round picks to get a guy like Joe Burrow?
Just about anybody outside of a team with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, I would think, would have some level of interest in trading for Joe Burrow.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where we'll have to keep an eye on that, and hopefully he can remain healthy, because this is kind of all for naught if he keeps taking those hits. He just physically will wither away. He won't be able to last. But yeah, we talk about it all the time. These guys are human beings. This is a very long season, and everything gets magnified when you're not winning. When you're winning, there you go. Yep.
Suggestion number 3.
Okay.
Bill O'Brien. Keep him in mind. Great coach, Bill O'Brien. We are 3 for 3.
Are you making the decision? Are you hiring? Are you on the
People
board
think I am, clearly.
Yeah. All right, so there we go. We're 3 for 3. So yeah, the Joe Burrow situation is insane. It'll be something to look at. I don't think you make those comments haphazardly. I think he knew exactly what he was saying. That's obviously how he's feeling. So that'll be something to track and kind of keep an eye on as the season moves on and as we get into the offseason. All right, Schefty, let's move on to the 5th topic of this Thursday's six-pack. We already mentioned the Bills and the Patriots and the Packers and Broncos as the 2 marquee games of the weekend. What is the second, or I guess in this case, third best game of the slate?
Well, I'm going to go back to the Broncos and Packers, because that's the game that I think that I'm going to be tuning into. Again, the odds makers again, Ty, establishing the Packers as a favorite against another team that's won 10 straight games, right?
Yeah.
Denver's on a 10-game win streak. New England's on a 10-game win streak. I haven't checked the line at all this week, but I've heard that both teams are underdogs. Is that still the case? Or is Green Bay still favored?
Yeah, last I checked, Packers were a 2.5-point favorite. I would guess that will move closer to a pick'em come Sunday, but as of right now, the Packers are a 2.5-point favorite.
Denver's going to be rocking on Sunday. Denver's got a chance to really tighten up its grip on the AFC West lead. Green Bay is trying to hold on to its number 2 seed, catch the Rams, hold off the Bears. So much at stake for both sides. That, to me, is a matchup that I am really fired up about. Now, again, is that game, I don't have the times in front of me.
4:25.
What times is the Phillip Rivers Seattle Seahawks game kick off?
4:25.
Oh, my God. Okay, I'm going to be seated in our conference room here in New York City, and I will have my eyes on both television sets. Both. Now, if Riley Leonard's starting, my attention will be on the Packers and the Broncos. But if Phillip Rivers is starting, my attention will be just as much on that as the Broncos and Packers.
Yeah, I was praying that was going to be a 1:00 kick.
Oh, my God.
Because I don't know if I mean, this is what a massive test for both the Packers and the Broncos. The line, like I said, I think some of that has to do with, I don't know if people are still, I don't want to say people don't believe in Bo Nix, but Jordan Love during Toyotathon, we know those numbers are insane, and he has moved up to the 3rd betting favorite for MVP over the last couple weeks. The way he's been playing, I think people probably trust him a little more than Bo Nix, and this isn't your ordinary Packer defense. This is the best defense they've had. I mean, not counting last year, you had Micah Parsons, obviously, but since they won the Super Bowl. So that'll be very interesting. This game being in Denver is a massive, massive advantage. And I also think some of that has to do with recency bias and the way that Denver played against the Raiders last week. I mean, if you watch that game, I think it was very clear, like, the Broncos were really never in jeopardy of losing that game. The score, a lot of people had issue with that, with the Raiders kicking, a time expiring field goal to cover, which a lot of people weren't happy. But it's one of those things where I think people just look at last week. The Packers have an impressive win over the Bears. The Broncos don't look quite as good against the Raiders, and that might have something to do with the line. But in term, whoever wins this game, I would say we're gonna come Monday. A lot of people are going to be pegging the winner of that as, hey, this is probably the Super Bowl favorite right now.
Big matchup. Big matchup.
Big
Same time as
matchup.
Phillip Rivers. By the way, no texts during this segment about suggestions from Michigan coach.
Okay,
None.
well, we'll see if we get
topic 5.
Yeah, we'll see if we get 2 on number 6. Let's move on to the 6th and final topic of this Thursday's 6-pack. A couple other great games on the slate on Sunday. Which one of these are you more interested in? Lions, Rams, or Chargers, Chiefs?
Well, you know what's fascinating to me? With all this talk of Phillip Rivers, with all this talk about New England and Buffalo, with all this talk about Green Bay and Denver, it's been a footnote, if it's even mentioned at all, that Jared Goff is going back to Los Angeles and Matthew Stafford is going up against his former team. And you've got the number 1 seed in the NFC in the Los Angeles Rams, and a team that's trying to get back into the thick of the playoff race in the Detroit Lions, who have lost so many key players to injuries. This is a great matchup, and it has barely been met. Do people even know they're playing this week right now? The Rams and Lions, you don't hear anything about this match. I'm hearing about all the issues in Philadelphia, about whether Jalen Hurts should be benched. I'm hearing about all these other storylines, how cold it's going to be. Nothing about Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff going up against their former teams, which in previous years was one of the biggest storylines out there. And maybe if it were another year, it would be the big storyline. But this week, with everything going on in the world of sports, it's barely a footnote.
Yeah, it's crazy. And, I think people like to bring up the revenge game with Goff. Like, he doesn't really strike. I mean, he's silent about that stuff, but I'm sure he has chips on his shoulders still from when they traded him and basically saying, hey, we don't think we can win a Super Bowl with you. But man, especially after that Thursday night game, I know they won, but what do you think the Rams passing attack is going to do to this Lions secondary, who is just so beat up, so depleted? I mean, there's a chance. I think this one is either the Rams are going to run away with it, or it's going to be an absolute shootout, and we're going to see a lot of points. I hope it's the latter.
Well, you know that the Lions are going to come out and play all that intensity, grit, all that. And you know Sean McVay knows how to find weaknesses. And the Lions have been great at covering up their weaknesses because they're just shorthanded at certain spots. They're missing so many great players. Sean McVay will find a way to take advantage of it. But that to me, I know the Chiefs and Chargers also very interesting as the Chiefs try to stay alive. Like, they're on the verge of extinction, but you could also find a path in which they could make the playoffs. But give me the Rams, give me the Lions, give me Stafford's continued pursuit for the MVP. Give me that game. Is that also, by the way, is that also in the 425 window? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, let me check.
Oh, my goodness.
I think it might be.
Holy cow.
Yes, it is.
Okay, hold on. So at 425 on Sunday, we have the Broncos and Packers, we have the Lions and Rams, and we have a potential Phillip Rivers return in Seattle. All at 425.
And, they usually, a couple of those games will kick off at 4:05, so you kind of have the staggered, they're all 4:25 this week. They all start at the exact same time. So, yeah, good luck. Good luck.
I'm putting the do not disturb silence call on my phone from 425 to 745.
I agree. If there's ever a weekend to do it, it's this one. And then just the last thing on, Chiefs, Chargers, I'm very interested to see Justin Herbert. It's going to be super cold in Kansas City. He played like he didn't have a broken hand on Monday Night Football. He rushed it for 6 times. And
warrior.
Absolute warrior. And the Chiefs defense looked great against the Texans as well. So that's going to be another fantastic game. But yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to pay attention to all these games. And I don't know Packers and Broncos is going to get preference. I might have to go full screen on that because it's such an important game. But like you said, I'm gonna have I'll be having eyes on Phillip Rivers for sure. I cannot wait to watch that one either.
All right, no suggestions for a Michigan head coach in topic number 6. No suggestions for a Michigan head coach from 4:25 Sunday to 7:45 Sunday. Outside of that, we welcome your suggestions, and we will take all into consideration and pass along in the appropriate way. Ty, want to thank you for a great week. Want to thank our great producers, Dan Stanzik, Rob Lorenzo, and you, the listener, for tuning into another Adam Schefter podcast. Please join us again Tuesday and Thursday next week. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the Adam Schefter podcast. We'll be back in this spot Tuesday. Until then, enjoy the games and the 4:25 window.